Guess what? I'm back again. Well, yeah, I hope this time for good. But you know what? You know what the word of the day is? The word of the day is waiting. That is our word of the day on this episode of Locked On Anaheim Ducks.
You're Locked On Ducks, your daily podcast on the Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jason JD Hernandez. I've been covering hockey for well over a decade, and I'm also currently the public address announcer for the Coachella Valley Firebirds. Once again, thank you for making this your first listen of the day. And this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers can get $5 and $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. All right, I'm feeling pretty good today. So before we get started with today's episode, I just want to address what's been going on. I know I had a comeback last month, and maybe a couple days after that comeback, I started feeling a little bit under the weather. And a couple of days after I got back home, I found out that I had RSV. So, yeah, I posted on my Twitter like, hey, I'm sick, but it's not COVID. Yeah, it turned out to be worse than that. So I was out for a while without getting too graphic. There was a lot of coughing, a lot of coughing up. It was bad. It was bad, folks. And only maybe a few days ago was I beginning to feel better. And instead of just putting shows earlier in the week, fresh start, new month, and we are back for season number 5 of Locked On Ducks. That's right. This is officially the start of season 5 of Locked On Anaheim Ducks, which means this is my 5th season covering the once mighty Ducks of Anaheim. I say once mighty because they used to be the cream of the crop, used to be the team that everyone would model themselves against, and all of a sudden the Ducks are last in the league. That ain't good. What's even worse is that the fans are waiting on a number of things, and one major thing that Ducks fans are waiting for is the contract signings for Troy Terry and Jamie Drysdale. Yeah, they're still not signed. In fact, as of this recording, we are less than a month away from training camp. Less than a month away, and those guys still have not been signed. And this was pointed out to me, and I had to look to make sure this was correct. There are currently only 9, you heard that right, 9 players in the entire NHL that have not been signed to a contract that are restricted free agents. Those 9 players, yes, you heard that right. In reverse order, Jan Yannick, Kalen Addison, Morgan Frost. Sorry, let me go back with the teams. Jan Yannick for the Coyotes, Kalen Addison for the Wild, Morgan Frost for the Flyers, Declan Chisholm of the Jets, Igor Sokolov of the Sens, Shane Pinto of the Sens, Tim Burney of the Blue Jackets, and then you have Jamie Drysdale and Trevor Zegras. 2 of those players are kind of not like the others. Well, I mean, technically a couple of them are quite good players. Morgan Frost had a stellar season last year with the Philadelphia Flyers, but some of those guys, they're probably going to wind up being on the AHL for the majority of the season. Jan Yannick spent almost all of last season in Tucson. Probably going to happen again. I think Yannick is going to stick around in Tucson and not crack the Coyotes roster, so he doesn't count. Declan Chisholm is probably going to stick around with the Manitoba Moose, assuming he gets re-signed. So that's another player, so I don't count him. Igor Sokolov, I honestly think that he might crack a few games with the Senators, but I think he will wind up spending most of his time in the AHL as well. So when you really think about it, there's only 6 guys left. 6 Count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ha, ha, ha. 6 guys that have not been signed yet by their NHL teams, and a third of them are with the Anaheim Ducks. What does that tell you? Well, one of those sides is going to crack eventually, and I would have to believe that the side that's going to crack is going to be the players. Look, Z wants to play, JD wants to play, but ultimately I think the Ducks have the upper hand on this one. And as much as I hate to say it, I don't know if Z and JD are going to get the contracts that they really want to get, but also this is the work of their agents. They're going to have to work really hard to get him some kind of good contract. Now, Zegras, I think, will still get a very solid contract, but the more I'm thinking about it, Z might get 7.5 per season at this point. It's so late in the summer that I could see that number being 7 to 7.5. 8 million is looking less and less likely. But if I were to be a wagering man, I would say 7.5 million AAV for Trevor Zegras. Now, Jamie Drysdale is much more tricky because he was out for almost the entire season. He only played 8 games last season. 8 games last season with the Ducks. And Jamie Drysdale, got off to a slow start. And just when it looked like things were starting to pick up, he got injured badly, out for the rest of the season. He was skating around towards the end of last season, and he was looking good in those skater rounds. But there was no reason to bring Drysdale back when the Ducks were already out of the playoff picture. So there was no reason to bring him back. But I would think that JD, that's tricky. I don't know if he's going to get, 6-7 million like some were hoping would see, but Drysdale will certainly get a lower AAV number, maybe lower than we expect. But this might be okay for the Ducks to maybe overpay a little bit for Jimmy, or overpay in their eyes. But also, Jamie Drysdale is still on kind of his rookie deal, so there is still team control. So they don't have to pay Jamie Drysdale the big bucks just yet. Maybe not in this contract, but maybe his following contract. And especially if the salary cap is going to go up more than we would think, because the salary cap is going to make a big difference in what kind of contract Jamie Drysdale gets in the future. And we'll actually touch on that a little bit after this first intermission. So I'll talk more about just contract stuff and salary cap stuff, and we will get to that on the other side. Now let's talk about FanDuel. That is right. FanDuel is the official online sports betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network, or TLOPN. And folks, football season is fast approaching, but hey, so is NBA season and NHL season. And there are incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, customers can get $5 and $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That's a good deal. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. This app is easy to use, and you can enjoy everything from spreads to player props and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you won't want to miss. FanDuel is the official online sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. And please, folks, gamble responsibly. Welcome back to Locked On Anaheim Ducks, part of TLOPN, or the Locked On Podcast Network. Once again, you're locked in with Jason JD Hernandez, as we still are talking about contracts that need to be signed, but also what this means for the salary cap. And by that, I mean, how much is the salary cap actually going to go up in the following seasons? Let's cut to the chase. The salary cap is only going up $1 million this coming season. Only $1 million. The Ducks still do have a lot of cap space. They have, as of right now, $16.6 million in cap space. This does not include the money that's about to go into LTIR because Isaac Lundestrom, as you may have heard, he got surgery to repair his Achilles. So he's going to be out at least 6 months, which puts Lundestrom out until at least the All-Star break. So without his services for the majority of the season, expect Lundestrom's money to go into LTIR. So in fact, the Ducks will have about $18 million in cap space. What that means, Zegras could get that big contract right now. He could get $7.5 million, even $8 million. That would theoretically leave just around $10 million in cap space. They can throw money at Jamie Drysdale right now or wait till later. The reason I say wait till later is because the salary cap is expected to go up quite a bit after this season, according to Cap Friendly. And this, by the way, I want to stress, this is according to Cap Friendly. The salary cap could go up to $87.5 million, not this coming season, but the following season. We're talking 24-25. Then 25-26 or 26-27, the salary cap could go up to a staggering $92 million. So in 2 to 3 seasons, the salary cap could go up by $8.5 million. What does that mean for the Ducks? That means they're going to start to pay some of their young guys, and they're going to have to start paying the young guys in order to keep them around and to keep them happy. And that is why I say maybe for Jamie Drysdale, maybe some kind of really good bridge deal for now, and then an even better deal later on. So I could see a bridge deal happening in the next week or two. That I could absolutely see. And I wouldn't put it past GM Pat Verbeek to have some kind of deal saying, okay, you know what? You were injured all of last season. Here's what we can offer you right now. So I am thinking more about the future, not the immediate future, but the far off future of the Anaheim Ducks. Because, like I said, the word of the day is waiting. The Ducks, they're going to be waiting. Fans, you're going to be waiting for a while for another playoff run. And I hate to put it out there, but I don't see the Ducks making the playoffs this season. I mean, when you have the worst record in the league, chances are you're not going to make the playoffs, especially when the improvements are marginal at best. I mean, the Ducks didn't do a whole lot to improve their roster this season. And yes, part of that is waiting for the youngsters to develop a little bit more, which I understand, which I get. So maybe this is all part of the rebuild, trying to tear things down completely, which, to Verbeek's credit, that's exactly what the Ducks have done. And also, they're going to be waiting for Leo Carlsson. They're going to be waiting on Jackson Lacombe. They're going to be waiting on Tristan Luneau, on a slew of other prospects that are sure to make some noise. In a sense, they're still waiting on Mason McTavish. McTavish has arrived, but they're waiting for him to have a breakout season. I mean, more breakout than what he had last year, but we're talking where McTavish could score 25, 30, 35 goals. Still waiting on that. Waiting on Nathan Gaucher. Waiting to see what he does. Waiting on Sasha Pastujov. What kind of noise can he make? Can he break the roster? Waiting on other guys like Pavel Mintyukov and Noah Warren and Olin Zellweger. I am waiting for him to make some kind of impact, not on the Gulls, but on the Ducks. And I feel like our patience will be rewarded down the line. But, we've got to go through one more year of... You ready for this? One more year of misery. I got to call a spade a spade. One more year of misery. I mean, yes, blowing it all up helps. And not going all in a couple of seasons ago, that helps. I mean, okay, look at the shirt I'm wearing. I'm wearing an Angels 5K shirt. Look what happened to our neighbors across the street. Look what happened there. The Angels were... They were not content waiting. I'm fine, folks. The Angels were not content waiting. They tried to go all in on all their moves, signing guys like Lucas Giolito, who sucked as an Angel, and now he's getting waived. And boy, oh boy, spending $10 million and saving $7 million in cap space. No, you know what that means? That means you lost $3 million. The Angels went all in and completely blew it. And I hate to say this, a lot of you Ducks fans are Angels fans. The Angels window has just closed. They're going to be awful for a long time now. I mean, the Angels are essentially pulling a Ducks. Artie Moreno has basically done, and Perry have done, well, I shouldn't put too much blame on Perry, but I can certainly put blame on Artie Moreno, where they've essentially tried to do everything that they shouldn't have done. They could have gotten a ransom for Shohei Ohtani and did not. And now Ohtani may walk for nothing. And I love Ohtani. He's worth the price of admission. Hate to see him go like that. So in a sense, the Angels are pulling a Ducks, but in a worse way, because the Angels believed they could make it. The Ducks, after GM Bob Murray left, they said, okay, you know what? We're not going to make the playoffs. Let's blow it all up right now, give away all these guys, get a slew of draft picks, which, by the way, the Ducks still have a lot of draft picks in this next NHL draft. Need to remind you, they have 2 second-round picks and 3 third-round picks in this coming 2024 NHL draft. So, waiting is the key. Patience is the key. The time will come for the Ducks, but you have to dig through the crap first. You got to dig through the crap before you can finally get to the promised land of seeing the Anaheim Ducks in the NHL playoffs. Hopefully that patience gets rewarded. Finally, I want to talk about waiting, and this is something kind of out of left field, not having to do with the team itself, but having to do with how we can watch the team. What do I mean by that? We're waiting on a bankruptcy case dealing with Diamond Sports Group and Bally Sports. Now, here's what happened recently. The NHL, they told the bankruptcy court that's dealing with Diamond Sports and the regional sports networks, the NHL might ask for emergency relief from Diamond Sports Group, and that's if they cannot come up with some kind of deal in the next month. So the judge in this bankruptcy case extended the deadline to September 30th for DSG to file a reorganization plan. And according to Awful Announcing, this would be when the company needs to decide whether to excise or keep their team contracts. So they could shed those contracts altogether. And Diamond Sports has 12 hockey teams that it has the rights to. Those teams include, I think, the Minnesota Wild are in there, the Ducks are in there, the Kings are in there. I'm pretty sure Arizona's in there. I think Dallas is in there as well. So there's quite a few teams that are in that deal. I believe Tampa Bay is in there. Florida, I think that's 7 teams. So Tampa Bay, Florida. I cannot think of the other 5 teams at the moment, but there's still a lot of teams that I have not mentioned that could be in a really weird scenario where they have to really hustle to get some kind of TV deal. I mean, the Ducks could be left scrambling, and they would have to possibly have some kind of over-the-air deal. Maybe they could have a deal with, let's say, KCOP, Channel 13. Maybe not KTLA 5 because, you know, they already have a lot of their programming on the CW. And Channel 13 doesn't really have that option. I mean, Channel 13, every weeknight, I believe they show reruns of The Big Bang Theory and I want to say Seinfeld. They're showing, and that other program, King of Queens. Wow. So they show those 3 shows. I think Channel 13 can get away with straying away from reruns for a majority of the season to show Anaheim Ducks games. But that's worst case scenario if Bally Sports is not able to show Ducks games. The Kings, the Kings could swoop in there and take Channel 13, or they can come up with some kind of deal with Sportsnet LA, because that's what happened with the LA Galaxy. That's what happened with the LA Sparks. Maybe the Ducks can share that space with, maybe not the Lakers channel, because Lakers season's going on at the same time concurrently, but I would like to believe they could have some kind of deal with Sportsnet LA, because the Dodgers will be in their off season. So maybe have the Kings share with the Dodgers. That makes sense for the Kings. For the Ducks, it doesn't make sense to team up with any of those Sportsnet networks. So they would more than likely have to go on with KCOP 13. So that's if they keep or they don't keep their team contracts. If they decide to keep their team contracts, or at least some of them, then the Ducks are safe for now, and they will be on Bally Sports SoCal ... for now. And this is while DSG is dealing with Chapter 11 bankruptcy. We don't know what's going to happen with the Ducks. I mean, look what happened with the San Diego Padres and the Arizona Diamondbacks. DSG got rid of those two contracts, and now the Padres and Diamondbacks, they're having the rest of the baseball season on MLB networks. That's who owns the rights to those TV deals. So at least we could watch those online and on MLB TV. That's fine. But oh boy, imagine if that would happen with the Ducks. Then what does that mean? They have to play on NHL TV and that's it? Or maybe rely on ESPN Plus? Ooh boy. That's tough, folks. That's really tough to think about. So that's something that I haven't really talked about a whole lot, and something that hasn't been discussed. But now that we're in September, and now that we're close to the NHL season starting, that's something that we kind of have to think about. You know, what's going to happen with broadcasting of Ducks games? What's going to happen with those broadcasts? What's going to happen with how we view the Ducks this coming season? So still some uncertainty going into the end of this month, but uncertainty that hopefully doesn't come to a head, and hopefully we're able to see the Anaheim Ducks play this season. All right, before I wrap up, a couple of things I want to mention. I did say this at the top of the broadcast that I had been out, I've been out sick for a while. I mean, to put it mildly, I was coughing up a lung for about a week. Really, really horrible fever. Again, multiple visits to the hospital because, it's been that kind of cruel summer for me. It's just been that way. So I would like to offer my sincere thanks to all of you that sent nice messages, and apologies for, I was hoping to start up again last month, and then sicknesses just got to the worst of me. So I want to apologize for that and not being able to get many episodes out. And knock on wood, that no more sicknesses take place. Hopefully no more car accidents, no more funerals. Hopefully that is the end of a very long summer and we can just get back to normal. And for me personally, getting back to normal. But one other thing that I do want to mention to you Ducks fans that watch regularly. I'm going to be moving. I'm going to be moving out of this space. So as you'll notice in the coming days, it'll get a little emptier here. So, this month of episodes is going to be challenging to try to get up. I think October is going to be extremely challenging because I'll be moving from spot to spot trying to record episodes. I might even have to record episodes on my phone because I won't have an internet connection. So it might have to come to that where you'll just have episodes of me recording from my phone. But hey, you know what? That's how it is. That's how it's going to go for at least the next couple of months. Hopefully not that long. And hopefully I will be in my new studio. I'll be moving to a much nicer spot. I'll have an actual studio. It'll look really nice when it's all said and done. I promise. I cannot wait for that. So just want to let you guys know with full transparency what's going on in the next couple of months. So, yep, my closet right now is pretty much empty. The bathroom's almost empty. I'm actually going to be out of here at some point this month. So, changes are happening. All right. Once again, I want to thank you for your continued support. It is, so appreciated. Don't forget, this podcast is free and available across all platforms, including Stitcher, Spotify, Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, SiriusXM, ad-free on Amazon Prime. You could email me at lockedonanaheimducks@gmail.com. The Twitter's at StimpyJD. And once again, thank you all so much for all your support. You guys are awesome. Thank you guys. For Locked On Anaheim Ducks, I'm Jason JD Hernandez saying have a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend, everyone. Please remember to be safe out there. Please be safe out there. Please be kind to one another. And Ducks, fly together.